So, spinal hygiene, spine hygiene. What is it and why should you care? By spine hygiene, I mean trying to make sure that the patterns of movement that you use every day in every activity of your life are placing as little stress and strain on your spinal tissues as possible, thereby reducing your risk of injury. So it's cleaning up your movement patterns to make sure that you are taking as much care as possible to avoid straining and injuring the tissues in your back. So the spine is a column and it contains 24 bones, each of which have in between them a little spacer, a disc. And lots of people think that that spacer is a shock absorber. It actually isn't. The bone itself is the shock absorber. And the most efficient way to bear weight through, or bear load through this column is in this shape. So this being the front and this being the back, this curvy structure is your spinal column, and it's behaving a bit like a coiled spring in this position. If it was completely straight, completely vertical, it wouldn't have that same give. And so this neutral spine position is really what we want to maintain when we are bending, pushing, pulling, lifting, all of those activities of daily life. Because if we can maintain that position, then our spine is as protected as it can be from the stresses and strains and loads that otherwise would be brought to bear on it. And handily enough, we have a pelvic girdle and a shoulder girdle, which have nice ball and socket joints, the hips and the shoulders, which give us the capacity to move very freely in those areas whilst maintaining stability in the spinal column. That's what spine hygiene is really all about, is the maintenance of that neutral spine position. So if I put this little rod up my back, I've got 3 points of contact: back of my head, midpoint in my thorax and my pelvis. And if I bend to pick something up, I'm going to try to maintain those 3 points of contact all the way through that movement. And so this hip hinging pattern of movement, or a squat type of pattern of movement, is very desirable in terms of maintaining spine hygiene. So definitely something to learn and practice and employ during all of the movements of your day-to-day life. Even doing things like raking up leaves in the garden. It's maintenance of my neutral spine position, hinging into my hips, and moving the object, in this case a rake or a metaphorical rake, with my whole body rather than standing in one position, compromising that neutral spine position, coming out of that hygienic position and putting load through the rake, which really is directly increasing the stress on my back. Pushing a vacuum cleaner around, same sort of thing. I want to be moving my whole body with hip movements, not standing still and pushing the machine around, stressing my lower back. Simple day-to-day movements.